What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Wednesday night edition of Winning Wednesday, because you know who won today? That's right. The Phillies got a big win down in Atlanta. And now we're on that Winning Wednesday feeling. And that's what we do. I'm Dave Gluckner. That's Marc Thomasini. We are Philly Fourth and Go, 4 for 4, plus so much more on the Heat Ratio Network. What's up, brother?
What up? What up? Yeah, you know what it is. It's another Winning Wednesday. We're back at it. Got some moves, like we're going to talk about the Phillies one today in Atlanta, splitting that little short 2-game series. So a lot of good stuff coming up. A lot of good, this team is heading in the right direction at the right time.
They really are. So let's open up with the trade deadline. I think, while I was Twittering yesterday and watching through all the good stuff on Twitter, there were some people that were but they weren't too thrilled with some of the moves. And I think in the end, they were looking at them in singularity, where I think in totality, you really got to take into account everything. And for me, they came out winners yesterday. And the biggest move overall wasn't one they necessarily made a trade for, but it was one that they decided to do, and that's DFA both Odubel Herrera and Arus Familia. And I'm just pumped, thrilled, excited. Instead of pulling maybe a Howie Roseman, I'll call it, and holding on to Jalen Reagor and JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Dombrowski knew I screwed up with Familia. I don't need to see much more of Familia. And he was ready to just cut loose with the 6+ ERA. And I love when people can admit their mistakes and move quickly on it. As far as Herrera, a mistake probably that you didn't need to bring back, but I understood it at least a little bit. But now with March in the fold, deuces. Right. And overall, just, the addition, Noah Syndergaard, very good. And let me tell you this, I do not expect him to be their number 3 starter come playoff time. Maybe he will, and he'll surprise me. Right. But he's more in this, we don't need Bradley Falter. We don't need a bullpen game. He's a fill-in for those more than anything, I think.
It changes the dynamic of the season, because if you didn't make a move, you were going to be doing every 4th day or 5th day would be a bullpen game. And we've seen how that goes. Last night was a great example of it. They lose 13-1 because Nick Nelson gets lit up first pitch. Like it was just that kind of thing. Like, you can't get away with doing that. And they've been doing that for a while now. Mm-hmm. And you saw the moment that you knew that they had to make a move was when they put Eflin on the 60-day.
Yeah.
At around 2:00 yesterday, I think they put Eflin on the 60-day, meaning he's pretty much done for the season. It's a big loss. And then you have to rely on Ranger Suarez and Kyle Gibson. And I like both. They're both having their more of a down year. They've had a couple of good spot starts here and there, but you did need to get somebody who can eat innings, who is actually a starter in this league. And, what you get with Noah Syndergaard is somebody who's done it before. Familiarity just, in the division. He's been here. He's done it. Look, he's had some good outings. He's had some bad outings, but he gets you 5 to 6 innings. And if he can give you a solid 5 to 6 innings, give up 2 runs, 3 runs, you can survive that. It shows they can survive on that.
Yeah, and no, I think that was awesome. The addition of him, and I agree with you. And we can look at. I'm going to toss one at you real fast, but let me just say what's up to Cease. Tell me your favorite move at the deadline. Mine is actually, like I said earlier, DFAs, but we saw a piece go out there today and make a very significant contribution. And to me, it was, David Robertson, I was a little like, all right, well, let's bring him back. We had him. We toyed him out there as a closer that we thought was going to be very productive for us, and then he blows out his arm. And it just kind of left a sour taste in our mouth. And then you see him doing well this year, and you're like, of course, right? It's the Phillies curse. But now bringing him back and seeing him go, 1, 2, 3 in the 9th with 2 punch outs, I'm like, I think this might be the sneaky move of the deadline that really might, because now I'm like, Dominguez in the 8th. I got Alvarez as a piece in the 7th. I got pieces all around.
Right.
Brogdon, I still have some confidence in certain situations.
Knebel is a guy who, he's not your closer anymore, but you get him 7th, 8th inning type stuff, or even when you have a 3-run plus lead, you're okay. It's not as scary anymore as it was earlier in the year. Things have changed. The dynamic of this team has changed. And so here's how I'll say it. a couple months ago, 2 months ago, you were like, the first thing they have to do is go relief pitcher. It had to
Yeah.
happen. It
Hmm.
had to be. And all of a sudden, the last month and a half, they've really locked it down. They figured it out. And honestly, it's kind of been since Thompson came in. Like, I don't know if he's just pulling the right moves at the right time. Like, if he has a good feel for his guys, like, I don't know what it is, but they're not making the same mistakes. They're not blowing leads anymore. I mean, they've been solid. They've been keeping them in games now. Like, it's honestly been a lot of this can be contributed to the bullpen, let alone the whole entire team as a whole has really come around. Cease is talking about here with Harper and Segura coming back. Like, you missed two of your best hitters. And it seems like just everybody is stepping up. And, last year, like, Harper had to put the team on his back. He's been out. And now everybody you find, boom, stepping up. Today, Castellanos, which was huge. You needed that to happen. All these guys are finding their way. They're getting through. So, I was like, do we really need a relief pitcher? No, we really need a starter now, especially with the whole Eflin thing. And we need a center fielder. But I think starting pitcher was the first priority. When I saw Robertson, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But like, we really need to get a starter before this day is over.
Yeah.
But but they added to an already rich system. Not rich. I'm going a little too far, but a much improved bullpen that I didn't. The last couple of weeks, I've been like, you know what? That's not a necessity at the deadline.
Yeah. No, and I think I was plucking for a starter. I got a little excited thinking Carlos Rodon, and
Yep.
I knew the
Tweet.
price was going to be high. And the same
Yeah.
with Tyler Mahle. I liked him out of Cincy, but the price was high. The Twins paid a pretty significant price for prospects for him. And you couldn't give Mick a Bell, you couldn't give Andrew
No.
Painter. So I think with what they gave away, they really extracted some good value. I'm out on the Mickey Moniak. The exciting spring training turned into 4 months of pain, and it's quite obvious he can't hit an off-speed pitch, and his career batting average is 193. So, while he could flourish into something, they got a center fielder out in L.A. I mean, he's never going to take Trout's spot, but as he moves to the left, maybe he pops. I don't know. It's a flyer. And O'Hop going. O'Hop will be potentially a decent catcher at the majors, but he's blocked by JT, so it's actually a nice thing to have, right? It's a in that case.
And I know we were all, as of like a year or so ago, we were under the impression, okay, like once JT starts giving out, he'll go to first. But I mean, one, I hope they don't stay with Reese this whole time. Like, I think, this is the end of his contract. I mean, they would either have to sign him or he can go test free agency after this year. If he's not the guy, you got to pull Bohm over from third to first, because I think he's better suited. He's tall. And even though Bohm has gotten better defensively at third, he's not a full-on liability, but he's obviously not a Gold Glove third baseman. So I'd rather see him over at first. You get a better hitter over at first. But JT's not going the first. I think that's probably clear as day, unless everybody were to be gone. No Bohm, no Hoskins, no. Then that would be the only way that JT would be there. So it's really like, and I at first was disappointed when I saw that Logan was traded for Marsh, but he's blocked. And it was a 1-for-1. They didn't have to throw in somebody else. Now the thing is about Marsh, great defensively. You're going to get a star who can cover the ground. And that's really necessity. Because I think it was last week or the week before, I was saying, the one thing that really kind of peeved me going into the season is that they didn't address center field. And they finally have it. And for the defensive side, because when you end up with Castellanos and Schwarber, now you weren't expecting both of them to be playing full time because Harper's been hurt. But now you at least filled that void.
Yeah.
And, it does change the dynamic of the team. But apparently a lot of people think that this kid can still hit. Obviously, he's not doing it this year. But people see the potential in him. And he's a big kid. And he might be able to get it together. If he gets it together in 5 years of control, Dombrowski made a great move.
I'd like to comment here. Marsh looking like a Blackman or worth 2.0. I don't disagree. I'm going to look more in Aaron Nola. No, I'm sorry. Not Aaron Nola.
Aaron Rowan.
Rowan, yeah. And, the guy that ran into the fence and broke his face. I think there's a chance we could get somebody like that just turns into this absolute crowd favorite. He's got this big beard. He plays a reckless style. So he's gonna play hard here, and I think he's gonna be definitely favorable. And it's surprising. Oh, Hop's 22, March 24. We're not too far off. March has had that much more experience.
Yeah.
So we got a question for you, and I can answer it too. When Segura and Harper come back, who's going to be sent down? Now, I'll just throw a name out there. I'm not sure it's true, but with the addition of Edmund Sosa, I think you got a nice utility infielder. The first guy I'd be sending is Didi Gregorius. He's an absolute waste of space for me. I know that might not be true because he probably brings some value in the clubhouse, but that's where I'd go. I'll tell you that much. I think Vierling goes down too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the only other one that I could see, well, it depends. So Camargo's still down in Lehigh Valley right now. I think was he down there for assignment or for like an injury assignment comeback? I think. He just made a sell play the other day, but if he comes back up, then I could see him going back down. I'm trying to think if there's another extra outfielder that would be. And that's the thing. I really didn't understand the Edmundo Sosa move. Like, I know.
Really? I don't mind it.
I don't mind it, but it's just there's already like an influx. You got Stott, you got Gregorius, you got Camargo, even though Camargo's not up right now. You got Gregorius. I feel like there's a lot. And it's almost like they have a little logjam. Maybe I'm missing something, but
well, to answer the question, I would say the real honest, I think Hall and Vierling go down. I think when you get Harper back, that left-handed power bat probably
is now in Harper's hands. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it's probably going to go, in my opinion, because then you're Castellanos, Harper, Marsh, Schwarber in the outfield. So you got a nice little four-man depth there. And then I just think the infielder that goes down. I think Sosa stays. I think in the end, Didi will probably stay, and they'll platoon him against righties. But and then I think it'll be Hall.
I mean, you don't think it would be Stott at all, do you?
No. I think I think they value Stott. Now, the only way it would be Stott is if they just say, I got to get him more bats than every other day at bats. But I don't know. I think the kid's shown enough. His defense is flashing out there, playing second. So Didi
a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what would you rather want right now? I mean, I know Stott's batting 196 and Didi's 210, so we're 14 points off. But when you have 7 homers to 1, right? When you have 32 RBIs to 19, and that's it's similar at bats. It's 25, 30 at bats different.
That's really kind of the offensive they've constructed. I mean, Schwarber is not hitting for average, but he's hitting homers. He's driving people in. Stott has the opportunity to hit for power more than Didi's ever going to. And he's younger, and he's a guy that you want to develop sooner and later. Keep going back up and down. You give look, you already owe what you owe to Didi at this point. It's past the trade deadline. Like the rest of his contract is guaranteed for this year. Nothing's changing with that. If you just have to put him on the bench, like, it is what it is. Like, the money's gone at this point. Develop the kid that you have. Didi's gone after this year.
Dude, he sucks. He's a minus 0.4 WAR. I mean, Stott's at actually like a 1.0 WAR. He's so much. Every metric is better. Didi's been driving me nuts for 2 years now. If you even look at the 2021 season, he bagged 209, so he's 210 this year. So you can expound that. That's 166 games now, and he's batting about 209. Last year, he ended up with 13 home runs, so 14 homers over that stretch is, Stott already has 7 in half that time. So less than half. Yeah, it's easy for me, but maybe I'm just more of a hater. So I'll answer the question simply. They'll probably go Hall and Vierling. I like Vierling, by the way. But there's been some plays I haven't been thrilled about, overthrown bases. So it's okay. He's a rookie. And where you like him is lefty platoon, but so maybe they keep a 5th outfielder, maybe.
I would like to see them just, you traded for Marsh, you believe in him, just put him out there.
Yeah, I think they will. I just think he
It
bats
sounds like, I
lefty.
mean, that's what Thompson said the other day. He said he's the everyday.
Yep, and
So
that's why.
I hope they do it. And if that's the case, then yeah, Bierling going down would make a lot of sense.
That's why Odubel's going, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing for this team right now.
Yeah.
So another interesting point: Syndergaard, Wheeler obviously played together prior here, so it'll be. They just had some overlap in New York, so that'll be good that they have some familiarity. But let's look at the whole MLB trade deadline, and it was fireworks, especially once the big piece went down. That's Juan Soto going to the San Diego Padres. Other night on Win Daily Sports Live before the trade deadline, I said that's the destination. I said that, and he is going. I actually put a little playing on the Padres at 22-1 before the trade happened. They're down to 10 and 11-1 in most markets. So just felt really confident San Diego was going to go for it. Their GM been there 5 years. They made the playoffs once, and it was the COVID shortened season.
All the moves that they've made, and they've had nothing to show for it.
Right, and now going for Hader, getting some other pieces. Drury they got from Cincinnati. Yeah, hit a grand slam tonight. I think it's in their hands, and they know how tough these teams are out there, like the Mets, Braves, and Dodgers. So, really excited that they pulled that trigger. I think it's one of the biggest hauls we'll ever see. They traded pretty much their top 4 prospects. Mackenzie Gore. Fantastic lefty. Lost a little velo at the end of his term and then went on the IL. But looks great. Abrams, the shortstop, second baseman, really good. Already played a lot in the pros. And then these guys, Robert Wood, what was the other guy? Hassel the third. Really top-notch first-round picks in the last few years. So they paid a steep price. But in the end, Soto's a generational talent. So I think San Diego won this trade. 1.5 years of his ownership, too.
Yeah, and they think that they can pay him. They think that they can pay him. So, I mean, it's a lot of money tied up in guys, though. You got Manny, you got Tatis, now him. They were lucky that they were able to get rid of Hosmer after he, said no, then Boston came in and swooped him up.
And why?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what?
Why Boston even like they don't know what they are. But anyway, yeah, they're 500. Yeah. Why are you going out and getting hot?
Well, and you know what? And the thing out, did you mention how Josh Bell was also in that trade too?
Not yet, but throw it in because he's been better than Soto this year.
Right, at the plate, he's been better. It's crazy. Yeah, there are a lot of interesting moves. I'm trying to look through everything.
Well, for me, just looking at that one,
yeah.
I mean, we've seen so many big player trades that it's always the team getting the big player that wins. So I think that's where we're going to end up. But I think Washington did it as best they could.
I think they had to. I think they had 3 teams on the line. I think they got a good return. I really do. I know you were saying that, but they did get a good return.
I think that's good for a team that's going to take a couple of years to rebuild. But and from San Diego's perspective, I mean, that puts them right at the top. I think it puts them right near the top of the NL. So good for them. Moving on, a couple other teams I thought did really well. Unfortunately, the New York Yankees, I do think, had a good trade deadline.
Yeah.
They added, if it's not the top starter, because I'll give Seattle credit with Luis Castillo.
Right.
It's number 2 in Frankie Montas, and able to get him in a reliever from Oakland for almost nothing. And then looking at further, getting Benintendi while we were on the air last week. That was a good move that started things. And then, I mean, I don't love the move when they moved out Jordan Montgomery, one of their starters in the rotation, for Harrison Bader. But look, I guess they were sold that bringing Montas in and still having Cortez, Tyon, Cole, and they still got Severino. I guess they felt confident that he was the odd man out. So I get it. And you bring in an athletic outfielder that can, again, similar to Marsh, maybe a little bit better. I thought the Yankees did a good job, and it just goes to show you it's not all about the money.
They're also able to get out from Joey Gallo.
Oh, that too.
That's been a. It's a shame. I like Gallo, but that's been a train wreck.
Yes.
And he
Where did he
literally
go? LA?
to Dodgers, yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's a backup outfielder for them.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's
right,
funny. The other point, Soto going to San Diego. What I liked about it was the Dodgers didn't get him, the Yankees didn't get
right,
him, the Mets didn't get him, and I think competitive balance that helps. But it's also just, I mean, the Dodgers have got they got Turner, they got Scherzer,
yeah,
all from the Nats, and I was just worried. So that was
right.
a good piece. But I thought the Yankees did well. Two teams in our division. I'll just ask you these. Mets really just added a couple fringe bats. Darren Ruff,
Darren Ruff,
Vogelbach. They just didn't make a splash,
right,
and I guess their big splash is Jacob deGrom. Got it. Came back yesterday.
sure.
Pitched pretty well. And then the Braves just didn't do a ton either.
They got
Maybe
Odorizzi.
maybe the Phillies did the best in the East.
I think the Phillies the Phillies had 3 needs and they addressed all of them, and I think that was a point that I wanted to make earlier. But I mean, I don't know, unless he hasn't been the same who he's been before. But Jake Odorizzi, I think that's kind of a decent move for them. They
It
did
is.
bring
But they gave up. They gave up what? Will Smith.
Will
Yeah.
Smith. Yeah. The one thing I'll say, which is in favor for us, they brought in Iglesias, and that was the relief pitcher for the Angels who gave up the grand slam to Harper to come back and win that Sunday series. So hopefully we have another moment like that again in September.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he's been okay. He has plus stuff, but man, when he leaves them over, we bang it. So yeah, you're right.
I'll take
Overall, really fun trade deadline. Let's say this much. Where is your confidence scale on the Phillies making the playoffs? Give me a number percentage as we sit here today. And they pretty much sit there. It looks like, what is it, a half game up on the Cardinals? A half game up. Yep.
Yeah. So I think last time you asked me this question, I think I was 45-50. I'm up to like 60-65.
Nice.
I feel good because they don't have to do these bullpen games anymore. That's, maybe 3 or 4 less losses than you were going to have, when you're playing the Braves and the Mets and stuff like that. And you got to go out there and throw those kinds of innings. They've assured their outfield, and Robertson might just be the icing on the cake to really solidify this bullpen that, now we don't have to fear anymore. Because the thing that I love about this team so far this year, it reminds me of the 08 team. Not saying this is World Series, don't get me wrong.
No, I got
a factor.
Yeah.
A factor about that team, they were never out of it. Just like today, they were never out of it. Now they were only down 1-0. But the fact that they were able to, Bohm hit a homer, and then Castellanos with the 2-run.
Well,
just like that.
He is single, but JT grounded into what was a double play that got turned around to, it was first and third. Boom, hit this ball.
I thought, okay, never mind. Well, I missed that part.
It was double play, and inning was over, but JT was running. He's like, I'm safe. And they replayed it, and he was safe. And then the 2-run homer by Castellanos.
Yeah. Okay, so I messed up that. But anyway, the thing is about that 08 team, they were never out of any game. They would be down 5, 6, 7 runs. I remember on Memorial Day that year. I think it was either that year or it was 09. And they were down like 6 to the Mets in the 8th inning, and they came back and they won the game. And that's what I feel that this team can do. They have enough hitters up there that can do this. And if you get Castellanos rolling, you get Segura and Harper back, and you solidified that bullpen, and you got the starters. You got Wheeler, who's pitching great. Nola, as long as he hangs on and doesn't collapse like he usually does, they're in a good spot. Suarez, Gibson, and Syndergaard, like you have a full starting rotation now.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel a lot better about their chances. I'll hit on 60%.
Okay, cool. I'm going to sit there and tell you I'm probably closer to 75%, and I'm feeling really good about it. A few things. Milwaukee lost late tonight to the Pirates, and why that is a factor to me. I think the Phillies are actually going to battle Milwaukee for that last spot. Right. The hater move, I get it. I actually really do get it. And I spoke about this in some other areas as well before, but he's a guy that, they have Devin Williams, who's just as fantastic back there. And Hader could only give them 1 inning, and he was going to be arbitration for 16 mil next year. And the year after that, he's going to want 20 as a closer. You don't pay closers. And I get it. I really do get it. But it just leaves some loss of soul to that team. And I think St. Louis overall is just a little bit better of a team. And they added 2 lefties at the break, Quintana and now Montgomery. Yeah. So I think St. Louis might overtake them. So that's just my one eye. I think, we have the tiebreaker over the Cardinals. So I'd kind of rather them be there. We still have to play the Brewers. No, we have tiebreaker with them too, I think.
Yeah. We have Brewers, Padres, and Cardinals. I think we have the tiebreakers on all of them.
Yeah. So kind of awesome.
That's why
I just raised it up more. Like, I don't think they're going to catch the Braves. I don't think they're going to catch the Padres. But I think they're going to hang in there. And I think they got, and Cease talked about it earlier, Cease and Segura. And Harper and Segura. Yeah. Not him. Adam's not coming out hitting for them. But just the addition or re-addition of those back into a lineup that's already starting to hit pretty well. It's going to be something that, going to benefit them greatly going forward here. And the schedule is still somewhat good, I think.
Yeah.
I thought I heard they play the Nationals 11 more times. I might not have the number exact, but think about that. They got to play that bad team a handful more times.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because they played a 5-game series against them. I think they played a 3-game series, and I think it's 19 games against each division opponent. So that would make sense that they have 11 more games. They have a series coming up this weekend, I think.
Yep.
Is it weekend or next?
It is a 4-gamer. No, it's this weekend. Starts tomorrow.
You get another 4-game. You get another. You just had, the Pirates 4-game sweep. They just got to take care of business against who they have to take care of business against.
Absolutely. So I just think that the schedule's favorable. The lineup's going to be hardened. The bullpen's better than has been in many years. Thompson has a good feel on when to use and when not to use. And then, the starters have been good. And when you have Wheeler and Nola, and you're now pretty solid against the Braves 6-6. So you're not losing terribly to these teams that you did in the past. And I think they're actually, I forget the exact record, but it's pretty good against the NL East in the past 2 months. So it's
they've been I think they swept the Marlins before the All-Star break. And not that the Marlins are great, but they've always had their trouble against them. So you look at little things like that. Obviously, I mean, just imagine if they started off they came back from the All-Star break and they took 2 or 3 from the Cubs. I mean, it's, that sweep by the Cubs was tough, and it makes you think like, oh no, things aren't going okay. But they righted the ship, they got back around, they're hanging in there now.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we got good news on the Phillies. We both believe they really strengthened their team at the deadline, and now it's gonna be a fun run in August and September here. So let's move on to the NFL. Yeah, it could be. Well, we'll be playing that first week for sure as the season goes a little longer. But I think it could be a red October. Now, man, I can't wait. I get goosebumps thinking about 07, 08, 09 all over again. So let's talk about the other team in town that is kind of playing right now. And that's Philadelphia Eagles. Training camp, it's moving and grooving. No big news. One day Jalen Hurts stock is up. The next day it's down. Then it's back up. And it's the typical – what you're going to get, whether it's media, slandering. It all depends. But I don't really put a lot of stock into things I can't see right now. And that still burns me a little bit that there's one public practice, and that's a sham, by the way, anyway. But there's just nothing to really, chew on. So I'll just wait. I'll see. I think the team is starting to gain a little bit more notoriety in the press, and it's going to happen because, like you said in years past, and I agree with you, that's what Jeffy wants. And Jeffy's going to try and put the spotlight on them when he can. He wants to be in the news. He wants to be the front page of ESPN. So I don't have much to chew on right now with the Eagles. You got anything coming out of their camp?
Yeah, no, the one thing is, it starts – the media train is rolling, like you've said. You got Robert Griffin III, who's now an ESPN analyst. Yep. He's tweeting out the Eagles have done everything right. They worked on the trenches. They have this. They have that. And then, he made no mention about the quarterback, but that stuff gets me a little nervous when it comes to it. And, even
Yep.
Kelsey said it last week when he was talking. He's like, look, when when nobody expected us to do shit, we went out and won. And when you guys expect us to do something, we lose.
Yep.
So he's like, I don't know what to say anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it's true. It's true. You never know what you're going to get with this team. There was talking about the same thing with Jalen Hurts, the other Jalen Regards. A couple days he's awful. Now it's like he's making one-handed contested grabs. Is he working with this team? Is he working with that team? I saw something. I mean, with Reagor, look, this might be the case where, like you were saying, where Dombrowski was able to, scratch off Familia. I don't think the same thing's happening here.
No.
I think Jalen Reagor is going to be on this team, even though there's probably going to be somebody more talented who gets cut.
And we went through that last week. Like,
right.
There's
a good chance because we can't.
It's your boy.
Right.
Greg Ward. I think he probably ends up the odd man.
Right. Yeah. And I think that would be a damn shame. But, the one other thing I've heard too is that James Bradbury looks like the best player out there.
That's
which
great.
Is a good sign.
Yeah.
Which is a good sign. That's hope. Obviously, we know how it is with corners and bringing in corners and stuff like that. But here's the thing: just 2 years ago, he was a stud with the Carolina Panthers. Stud corner, goes to New York. He had a decent
contract
with them. Right, big contract. The Joe Judge system where they were wearing tennis balls, taped to their gloves and that whole thing. And, I hope that, he still has whatever it was that he had in Carolina, which he's still young enough.
Yeah.
Still to be able to do it. So to hear something like this, like he looks like the best player out there, that's big. You want the new guys to come in and say, like, look, I came here to play. Let's go.
Well, you know what that is. That's that 1 year contract too, right? Yeah. I think he signed a 1 year, $10 million, right? Yeah.
Payment.
Well, which is great. It's the incentive. It's awesome. Love it.
I'll pay him. If he's a lockdown quarter, I'll pay him.
Yeah. I wish every deal was a 1 year contract.
Right. Yeah. Right. Make your bones every year.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I have heard that those, similar rumblings coming out of camp, and those things get you excited. I heard they had a good battle. Jordan Davis up front against, who was it? It wasn't Kelsey. It wasn't Dickerson. But they said the kid won on the offensive line, but Davis is looking awesome too.
Yeah. I've heard that's the thing they've said. I've heard that there's been, Davis has been shown because he has to. Here's the thing, I wasn't a big fan of the pick because he was a guy who at Georgia, on the best defense, was not really playing on third down, was not a clutch guy, essentially, like was not a guy that you could rely on. And in the NFL, you got to make your bones on third down. That's the money making down. It is. If like, that's all great if you can, run stuff on first and second down. But when you become irrelevant on third because, you can't get to the quarterback, that's an issue.
It is. And I was with you. I was a little dismayed by the pick just because there were so many other things I wanted. I'll still say Devin Lloyd.
Right.
But getting the Kobe Dean kind of softened that pain later. Yeah. So, I mean, there were also a couple, I guess, receivers I wanted, but then the A.J. Brown thing softened that pain. So, in the end, it did kind of – I got a linebacker receiver. I'm still good with Jordan Davis because I get it. I do absolutely get Fletcher Cox is old. And I get that the middle is, a piece that if they can stop the run, then they can turn loose on some other things. So, yeah, but I'm hearing great things about him, which is good. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more hype coming up. But overall in the NFL, there are a few other big stories that are circling around the media. We'll start with Watson.
Was a big sports day.
Yeah, so Deshaun Watson getting suspended for 6 games. Kind of sent Twitter a little bit on fire and some of the local and national news stations. And when you do compare the most recent probably suspension that hits our mind of Calvin Ridley for a whole season for a $1,500 bet on a game that he wasn't even in, and he was betting on his own team, not against. It's just, and it's legal. I know it's illegal for players. Don't get me wrong, but it is a legal
Well,
move in today's, states
here's
because then people can get taxes on it.
sure. Here's the thing, people, that's a problem that they've set up themselves. Look, again, players are held to a different standard because they have different rules. They have a contract. All this stuff is stated. He should have known better and shouldn't have done
Should
it.
have,
But
should have. Yep.
at the same time, here's the problem that they've put out there. Our life is run by gambling now. Like, it's the thing. It's every radio ad,
Yep.
every game that you watch on TV, every commercial that you watch on TV.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there's billboards for casino, for gambling, for sports gambling. It's legal in like 37 states or however many states it
Oh
is.
yeah. I think
Or
you're right.
31 states. Like, it's a problem that they've put out there, and they made a deal with the devil. And now you see that somebody of your own did it. Again, it still doesn't make sense, because if I'm an NFL player, I'm not even downloading any of those apps. I don't care what it's for. I'm not doing it. That's just me. But he gets a whole season. This Sue Robinson or whoever it was, this judge that put out the six games, she says nonviolent sexual assault. And we're not here to be, judge and jury, but like and they detail like the bad stuff that happened, but yet they didn't see evidence to do it. It's so convoluted. And then now the news that came out today is the NFL is going to appeal it because they want to suspend him for a year or suspend him for less than a year, but with a heavier fine. I don't understand why this wasn't in Goodell's hands to begin with, because weren't they the ones who said we want to get an outside source to comment on this? And now Goodell's like, oh, we want him out for a year.
I don't get the whole legalities behind it either. And that, I think the one that stings me the most is that I don't know how it's in his contract. He's only losing $330,000 or something. Don't hold me to that exact number, but it's right around it.
That's why they want to make money more of the thing now that he's going to owe more money if he gets.
Well, yeah. And I'm not saying I want the NFL to get more money, but I'm just still stunned. Like, this ain't hurting him anywhere except his performance on the field.
Right. It's just now it's going to be, 2 years that he's going to have missed. And will he ever be the same quarterback? I don't know. And like, you and I, we both like were creeping around this route that we would want him in. Now, I mean, it's hindsight, obviously, but like, you know what? As much as we are right now, we're in the trenches with, we don't know what we have with Hurts. I'm glad we're not in this scenario.
No.
I
just listen. There's talks. I was talking to my brother today, and he threw out a number. What was it? It was, what did he say? It was 78 or 68, something like that over the past, I don't know, 16, 18 months. And we did the math, and it was like, that's like one a week, one massage a week.
Yeah.
That he was getting from, but he said these were different. It was like 78.
All different people. Yeah.
All different. So there were definitely some repeat customers somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's not, this guy had a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying getting a massage is a problem, but I'm saying what you did.
What he did.
Those instances is
and there was a lot of one and done. So, because he creeped them out or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I mean, for me, I want nothing to do with it. Like you said, I agree.
Right.
I've already stated that I would have held on to Baker if I was Cleveland, but hey, you do what you do. You're Cleveland.
But they're the ones who sullied their relationship with him.
Yep. And in the end, I really believe he should be suspended more, but they can figure all that out, and that's not for me to be the judge, jury, executioner. That's just my moral status that, something like that doesn't really align to a few other things that they've, I'll say weed too. Even, people like to point out the Terrell Pryor getting 5 games for selling jewelry.
For getting, was he the one who got the tattoos, free tattoos?
Yeah, he got free tattoos and also sold like his college championship ring to a pawn shop.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
And now there's an NIL deal that he easily would have had when he was in college. Like, the thing is, they go back and they rewrite history by, changing things over. There's gambling and everything now. All these college athletes now get paid. Like, it's now all the things that these people got in trouble for are now legal on this end.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make sense.
No, I'm with you. So that was some big news, and we'll see where this leads. He was taken off the field today as the NFL came and made their appeal. I don't know what the rules are if he has to practice or not, but we'll
Right.
definitely keep an eye on it. You mentioned earlier there was another little piece of news in the NFL that was definitely caught our eyes.
Yeah. So the Miami Dolphins lost their 2023 first round, I think their 2024 third round picks. This was kind of in connection to them tanking games in 2019.
Yep.
And then I think at the same, this all really stems from the Brian Flores lawsuit. Because he really was fed up with it last year. He got fired when he did a good job with them. They won 7 games when Stephen Ross, the owner, told them to, lose. And I guess he got fed up with it because they started off terribly. And Ross also is suspended for the first half of the season. I think he faces like a $500,000 fine or something like
So
that, which
can't
is
go to the games.
Ring
Oh,
can't go to the games until, again, so he got suspended the same amount of time Deshaun Watson got suspended, and they both came out on the same day. So they knew what they were doing when they made that suspension. And also another thing that was brought up in connection to this is tampering, because, the whole, and it now came to fruition that it was true that Brady and Sean Payton, they all kind of had a deal to end up in Miami together. Brady was going to be part owner. Sean Payton was going to be the coach, and it all kind of fell apart. So Brady goes from retiring to wanting to go to the Dolphins I'm going to come back and I'm going to play for the Bucs. And then also, it really is a whole crazy conspiracy that, Bruce Arians, after Brady retires, is like, yeah, I'm going to give, what's his face? The defensive coach, who's
Todd
now the head coach.
Bowles.
Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him his chance. He's already had a couple chances in the NFL. Nobody's being fooled. I think Arians probably got pissed at the situation and couldn't do anything about it. And they moved him up to, front office, and the whole thing's a mess. And, Brady really stirred everything up.
Yeah.
And Stephen Ross is the one who's in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's interesting. I always find these punishments that are laid down to teams like the Saints got similar punishment at one time as well. Taking these picks away is probably the most significant part.
Yeah.
I don't know where I stand on it because I guess I don't probably know all the facts behind the scenes.
Right.
But it's significant when you lose the first round. It's significant when you lose a third, especially with a team that has some good pieces and could be a rising team in the NFL.
They also traded away picks. Now they have another pick this year. They have San Fran's pick, but they could have had 2 picks. Now they have 1.
Yeah. Yep, that's true.
So if Tua wasn't the guy and they wanted to go for a quarterback, guess what? That option is now out the window because there's 6 teams that have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. It's coming up, and the Eagles being one of them.
There's Goodell swinging the hammer.
Yeah.
Against a team for certain things, and then there's Goodell not being able to control a suspension that should have been probably a lot more. It's just it's a perplexing situation.
It really is. The NFL is something else. It gives you something new every day.
It does. It does. All right. As we wrap up the show here, I did get questioned earlier today. I thought it was a good question. I wanted to know where you stood. Yeah, I know you play a little fantasy football. We all do. We have some fun with it. Where's Jalen Hurts on your list? And we're not talking, I know where we are from a competitive standpoint, performance standpoint, but we're talking fantasy. Where do you put Jalen Hurts in your rankings of quarterbacks? I'm going to tell you, I have him around 10 for a fantasy quarterback.
Right. Well, here's the thing. He's going to get you points with his feet.
Yep, exactly.
That's the difference. If you're talking, here's where I think everybody with half a brain like us, when you look at Jalen Hurts with not green goggles, when you look at that with your naked eye, you see that he lacks accuracy and he lacks a deep ball. He lacks touch. He's got the leadership qualities. He's got, the team loves him. He's got all that. But as a passer itself, and who knows, maybe it works with, the weapons that bringing in his best friend, AJ Brown, which I think is huge and everything like that. But he had Devontae Smith last year. Like, it's not like he had no weapons last year and he just really had to, improvise with his legs. That's when he was most successful. With that being said, his legs are still there. He's still going to, I think he scores at least 6 touchdowns on the ground this year.
Yeah.
He runs for a couple hundred yards. 500
yards. Yeah.
Right. So 400 or 500 yards, 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's already, good amount of points right there. And then
500 yards rushing in many leagues, when you're about quarter point passing and you're a point rushing,
right.
That's 2,000 yards of passing.
Right.
Yeah, it really is what it is.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And when we're saying 500, I mean, all you're asking for in 17 games, 30 a game.
30 a game. Yeah.
I think he gets there.
Right. And I think he's going to have a better passing statistical year this year, regardless. Like I said, the worst thing that can happen is, all right, I'll get to the fantasy stuff. I would probably have him like in that 10 to 12 area, honestly, just because it depends. The only thing that's going to be different, there's 2 things. Do defenses focus on the run because the Eagles had the best rushing attack last year as a whole? Do they focus? Do they take that away from him and really make him use his arm? That's going to be what the question is. Are they going to be able to shut that down? Look, here's the thing. In this league, very rarely do you get away with not gimmicks, but like even the Michael Vicks of the world, they eventually were shut down with their legs because teams adapt. When you have more of a gimmicky, if you're not like a straight pocket passer, like that can be beat. And I think defenses can beat that. So if they are able to figure that out, that'll change it a little bit. And that, all
right, let's just get into it. Yeah. So you got him at 10 or 12, right? I got it.
Yeah.
Let's just, who's better? Like, I just want to know in Marc Thomasini's world that who's better? So
fantasy wise or just
fantasy wise? Yeah. Who's better?
Who?
I want 10 names that are better. I want to, who's better than Jalen Hurts fantasy if you're getting into your drafts?
Okay. Matthew Stafford.
Got it.
Justin Herbert. This isn't in order. Stafford,
agreed.
Herbert, Burrow,
agreed.
Wilson, Rodgers.
Yes.
So far, all those. I'm going to go on a crazy what?
Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Yep.
I'm going to say Derek Carr. I think he's got a lot of talent.
Very interesting.
Derek Carr right there. I'm trying to think of who else.
Do you put Brady?
Yeah, Brady. You have to go Brady. Even with that, yeah. I mean, they go and they get the Kyle Rudolph and
Julio Jones. Yeah.
All
right. So
offensively, that's
the tough one. The tough one for me, Dak Prescott.
I say at this point, Dak. There's no reason not to think Dak.
I do.
That's 10 right there.
Yep. And I'm borderline on the Russell Wilson, but
really?
I'm 90 or 10. I don't think you get as many yards out of Russ rushing as you have in the past. I think he's strictly pocket.
He's still got weapons, even with Tim Patrick going down. I still think.
But I just think Hurts will put go on. So I think Russ is better, yes. But I think Hurts could outperform him fantasy. So another name that I thought, and I was on the edge of, Kyler Murray.
I was just that was who I was going to say next. That is tough. They're fringe because you got to note that DeAndre Hopkins is out for the first 6 games.
Yep,
that's a big part right there.
Christian Kirk went to like Jacksonville for $1 million, for $100 million, right?
I thought it was like $72 million or something like that. Yeah. He was like a third receiver. And also another thing that happened today, Hollywood Brown got arrested.
No,
so that you never know. He criminal speeding. So at like 7 o'clock.
Lamar Jackson, we didn't even bring up. No doubt.
No, Jackson.
He's better.
Right. So that puts us at 11, I think. Trying to think of who else. Pittsburgh, nobody. Cleveland,
No.
nobody. I mean, no. I think Hurts will be better than Baker, even though I'm.
Yep. Tua.
Yeah,
I think he's better than Tua. I know he's got Tyreek, but I still would.
right.
I
I
think.
think he can do more with his feet than
Yeah.
Tua, and that's going to be the difference. I mean, he's got
Trey
Waddle and Hill, but
Trey Lance was one I toyed around with a little bit.
I don't. That's an uncertainty. I really
Yeah.
can't make a judgment on him right now. Some people think he's going to be great. Some people think he's going to fall on his face.
Yeah, I like Trey, but all the point was it was a good conversation, and I think there's a lot of people on the Hurts train that want to see him in the top 5, 6, 7. We just rolled off 12 names that
That are, yeah,
9 I don't think are even arguable, and then
right.
we have 3 or 4 more that I'm with you. So it's gonna take some time. We're gonna see,
Yeah.
and we're cheering for Hurts, but don't overpay. I know we're Philadelphia. I know he's close. Don't overpay.
That's the one thing I was going to say earlier. That's the one problem that I don't want to see. Hurts only make like a touch better stride, and you can't justify getting rid of him unless you know somebody else is going to be available. So then you get stuck paying him.
Well, you got one. I thought you have 4 years under control.
So 2000, 2001, or 21, 22. I guess they don't want to give him on a lame duck year. I guess they don't like.
Yeah, a lot of teams don't. If
A lot of teams don't. They play your quarterback year 3 after year 3. They'll just put an extension on that, unless they want to just hoax it and just know they'll have some kind of a market. But I mean, again, they have 2 first-round picks this year, so I mean, it's all going to depend on what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun. I love just talking a little bit about, the overall. And I really, when you bring up the name Derek Carr, that wasn't necessarily on my radar, but
Devontae Adams, Renfro, Darren Waller. I mean, how could you not?
No, I love it. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, I might. I really might. I think I have to dive a little deeper into the Raiders, but while I think they're the worst team in that division, I still think they're a 500 team. So it's tricky. It's tricky. All right, that wraps it up for this week on our show here, Fourth and Go, talking lots of baseball, lots of football. And I know we'll get in. We are hoop heavy and hockey heavy when we're ready. So we'll get back. We'll get them soon. But right now it's baseball, football, because that's what we do here. We just talk a little bit about everything Philly and everything else. And that's why we're 4 for 4 plus so much more. All right, Mark, until next week, we'll be back, right?
Yep, we'll be back.
Let's get another dub. Winning Wednesday here on the Heat Ratio Network. I'm Dave Gluckner. That's Marc Tomasini. And until